Click, click, clap. What's going on, guys? I am Simple Simon, and I'm out in Geelong. I've been here so much recently, you would think I live out here. We just went to the Geelong Comic and Toy Fair, and I met some sellers there who had a shop in Geelong. The shop was called Retro Archaeology. So now we're in Geelong, and we're gonna go check it out. Quick shout out to my Subminions. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you're interested in exclusive members only videos, extended episodes of The Noob, and exclusive emojis, hit the join button to find out more about channel membership. But remember, your membership is not required. The best way to support the channel is by liking and commenting on videos. Collect Fest Melbourne is fast approaching, showcasing all things collectible. And if you haven't got tickets already, use my coupon code TSV20 and get 20% off your tickets. This offer is valid until the end of May, so get in quick. Okay, so some of you might remember recently I went and did a video at Pop Culture Gallery as well as the Pop Culture store here. That was maybe about a month before I filmed this video. And when we went there that time, I had no idea that Retro Archaeology was literally 3 doors down. How crazy is that? So I'm really happy I ran into these guys at the Geelong Comic and Toy Fair because we missed out on our last visit to Geelong, but we're not missing out this time. If you guys are vintage collectors, get ready for Retro Archaeology. Oh my god, check it out, we're in the 80s, how crazy! Now this place didn't just have retro collectibles, it was just all things retro and vintage, from toys to clothing to all kinds of things. But the force was strong with their Star Wars vintage collection. Now, the Star Wars vintage collection is the name of that new stuff. This is the actual vintage stuff right here. Now at my old job, a lot of people used to ask me, do you guys sell cassette players? And I was like, sometimes, but trust me, you don't want those new modern cassette players, they're just cheap and nasty. You want that vintage tape deck so you know what it sounded like back in the day. So many good memories in this cabinet. Dick Tracy, Transformers, Voltron, and even some Ninja Turtles there. And they even had comic books. For all you guys who are like, I don't collect that modern stuff. Well, they had all that vintage stuff. Well, yeah, most of this is vintage, I would say. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? How long does it take before something becomes vintage? Because there's things that are considered vintage now where it doesn't really feel that old, you know, but they are. 20 years ago doesn't seem that long ago, but it was 20 years ago. Crazy. They also had this awesome wall full of signed photos from all the stars from yesteryear. I don't think these were actually on sale though. I think they were just on show with some of the signatures that the two had collected over the years. And how's this for an ultimate mashup? You got Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and Spock! Mate, is that Spock? I actually don't know if that's Spock. It was just a guess. But I do know that this is Mork and Mindy. I used to watch Mork and Mindy after school back in the day. You'd get home and Mork and Mindy would come on. For memory, I actually think that I got mad because I came home expecting to watch Batman after school one day, and all of a sudden Batman was no longer on and they were playing Mork and Mindy. That Dick Tracy pillow is cool as fuck! Check out all these cool vintage games. Mastermind, I used to have that in the closet in the hallway back when I lived with my parents when I was a kid. There was an original Boggle there. You got these cool AFL cans. There's Dipper! Is that a Gene Simmons Jack-in-the-Box? That's pretty cool. I don't remember what they called those balls back in the day with the electricity, but I always wanted one. I took this shot here for our buddy Justin because I know he collects these Japanese Shogun robots. That wasn't actually on sale though, they told us. It was just on display to show off. You got some old school kicks and skates there, some old, oh, that workout video. I wonder if those aerobic exercises hold up today. Get some cool art. Now, there's an article. Now, I'm glad I filmed that because now I know their names are Ed and Kelly who own this shop. You guys know I'm so bad with names in these videos, but I'm so glad. If you guys ever go into retro archaeology, say hi to Ed and Kelly for me. There were some really cool books on this spinner rack here. Look at all these old school Star Wars novels. That's awesome. I wish I read when I was younger. I wish I could read. That's why I like comic books, because comic books were kind of easy for me to read. And when I first started reading comic books, I was like, this is good that I'm reading something, because I just was never a reader growing up. I just never had the attention span. Alright guys, if you're still watching this video, I appreciate you. And who remembers what the assignment is for this video? Let me know how long does it take before a collectible becomes vintage, but also let me know if you saw something cool in this shop that you would have purchased. Let me know what it was in the comments below. Battlestar Galactica was something I never got into as a kid, but my brothers who are much older than me did, and they always tell me how good it was. I feel like sci-fi just isn't what it used to be. I mean, I love sci-fi films. It might be my favorite genre these days, but there just isn't as many sci-fi as it seems as there was back in those days. The 70s and 80s, the height of sci-fi, right? So that was retro archaeology, but do stick around because I did actually buy something while I was there, so let's find out what that was. Alright, so I actually filmed this video like probably over a month ago now, and I realized I didn't actually film an ending to the video, so I'll give you a quick review of what I thought of the shop and obviously show you what I picked up from the shop as well. I get a lot of people who watch my channel who are really exclusively into collecting vintage toys and vintage things, retro things. Definitely a shop worth going for those people, because you know, I go to all these events and I get a few people who are like, oh, the event looked cool but it didn't look like it had stuff that I liked, you know, for those vintage collectors. So yeah, if you are a vintage collector and you happen to be in Geelong, definitely worth stopping by Retro Archaeology. Is it worth the drive all the way out there just for that? I don't know if it's worth the drive just to visit that one shop, but obviously if you've seen my previous videos recently, I've gone to a bunch of places in Geelong. I would say if you're going to Geelong, make a day of it. Go to all these places in the one day and definitely put Retro Archaeology on the list. The reason I say that is because it is a very small shop. It's not like Aaron's and Lobo's down here in Melbourne where you can spend like an hour in there because there's just so much stuff and it's such a big space. It is a much smaller shop and it's very clean. So it's not like cluttered chaos. It's a very neat sort of shop. Everything's sort of laid out nicely, but yeah, definitely, look, they had so much cool Star Wars toys and big on the Star Wars toys and just all things vintage. It wasn't just toys, they had clothes, they had little accessories and all kinds of things. So yeah, definitely worth a visit for people who are into that sort of stuff. So I'm definitely glad I went and I definitely picked something up. So let me show you what I picked up. A while back, I said to myself, I don't want to really, you know, you guys know I collect my Star Wars Black Series figures. I don't know if you can see it, my fat head's in the way. I collect my Star Wars Black Series figures, but I didn't really have anything Star Wars vintage in my collection, you know? And obviously it is something I used to collect as a kid. I used to, not collect, but I used to have as a kid, but I never really delved into collecting vintage Star Wars. And I said to myself, you know, I'd be happy just with one vintage Star Wars figure and I'd want a Luke, right? Since then, I actually have one Luke vintage figure from Star Wars in my collection, thanks to my mate Michael, who is Annoying Customer 77 on Instagram. We hung out one day and went for a toy hunt and he actually gifted me vintage Luke, which was very kind of him. And I was super stoked and I was like, you know what? I'm happy with that Luke. Before Michael gifted me that Luke, I did think to myself, you know, I'd like to maybe one day pick up the Return of the Jedi Luke, vintage Luke. And they had one there and it was $26, I think. And I was like, that's a pretty cheap price for like a vintage Star Wars figure, right? I mean, I don't know It's not like I really regularly look for this thing, but I was like 26 bucks. I'll spend $26 on a vintage Luke. So his arm's very loose there, but now there's one reason I bought this. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it on the camera, but I'll try to take maybe some B-roll. But with this Luke, often when you find him, the tip of his nose always seems to be either missing or like it's chipped off or it's gone black. It seems like his nose gets chipped off quite easily. So often when I see these figures, that nose is just black. It's just like gone. This actually had it. He actually had his nose intact. So I was pretty happy with that. I think they had another one there with the original cloak, which was maybe $45, but I'm pretty happy with picking that figure up for 26 bucks. So now I have 2 Luke vintage figures. That's another weird thing about my collection. I don't like having multiples of the same character, but I'll make an exception for Luke because Luke was one of my childhood heroes. Now, one thing that did make me go, was when she wrapped it up for me, she took the figure stand off and said, oh, we don't actually include the stand. Because, you know, they're hard to come by. I get it. And they're like, yeah, we keep the stands because otherwise, you know, we go through them all the time. So I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So what I did was I actually hit up my mate, Michael, same Michael who gifted me my vintage Luke. And I said, hey man, do you have any more of those figure stands for the vintage Star Wars? And he was actually kind enough to send me some. So I've got a whole bag of them in here. I only wanted one. Maybe this is Michael's way of enticing me into collecting vintage Star Wars, but oh, you bastard! Oh, you bastard! Oh, you funny bastard! I feel so bad. He sent me this like weeks ago. I haven't messaged him about it. Oh my god! Wow, what a treat! So look at this. He's given me some figure stands that will fit the vintage figures. So there you go. There's my Luke on a figure stand. He actually gifted me a little alien. Oh, what's this from? I don't even know what this is from. Oh, I feel so bad because yeah, I haven't. This has been sitting here for weeks and I didn't message him to thank him. I got to message him after this video. But yeah, thanks, Michael. And I don't know what these figure stands are. Maybe does this fit the alien? Oh, look at that, fits the alien. I don't think this alien needs it, but oh, look at this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this, but focus. Look at that. Oh, that's actually really cool. Okay, I'm gonna finish this video and message Michael and say, oh, thank you for the alien figure. There you go. Look at that. Little surprise at the end of the video. So anyway, that was Retro Archaeology. This is a nice short vlog, I think. This is how long I probably want my vlogs to go for. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And if you do want to check out Retro Archaeology, I'll obviously have the address in the description below, along with their Instagram. If you want to follow them, just to make sure you know they're open, and if they've got any special events coming up, make sure you follow them on their socials as well. I've also got a whole bunch of other things down in my description. Collect Fest, 20% off. Codes. I got codes to get discounts off an eBay store. I got codes for a phone holder discount. All kinds of things going on in the description. So check all that out. And if you guys have made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. And until next time, I'm Simple Simon. Tell your friends and keep it simple.